What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new here, make sure to click the subscribe button. That way you guys can stay notified whenever I make a new video. I'm going to be covering everything I know about credit and funding. That way you guys have the same knowledge to go get funding for yourself. And if you guys are returning, happy to have you guys back here. Today we're going to be covering the dumbest way for you to harm your credit. And trust me, you need to know this because you might be a victim of it right now and not even know. So before it's too late, this video might be able to save you. So with that being said, let's get straight to it. So the first thing we want to talk about is who. Who does this affect? Well, this can affect anybody with credit at the moment. So this can be you, this can be your brothers, your sisters, your mothers, anybody, your friends, family, whatever. Now, what is this exactly? Well, today we're talking about the dumbest way to harm your credit. And one of the dumbest ways is actually going to be by getting your credit card shut down because you're not using it. That's it. Literally not using your credit card is going to harm your credit. Now, why? Why does this happen? Well, a bank, once they give you access to a credit card, expects you to use that credit card. Why? Because they're planning to make money off you when you hold balances and pay interest. And second, if maybe you're not holding balances, you always pay them off. Every time you swipe that card, they're making money from the store that is accepting the card because they're paying a fee to the credit card company. So the bank, its incentive of giving you this credit card in the first place is because they expect you to spend. Now, if you stop spending, this is what triggers the credit cards to get shut down. So when does it happen? Well, it usually happens after about a 3-month mark. If you don't use your credit card for about 3 months, your credit card will go into an inactive or dormant status. This basically means that you haven't been putting activity on the credit card. Now, it doesn't mean that your credit card is going to get shut down on the 3rd month if you haven't used it. Me, myself, I've been in situations where I haven't used a credit card in over a year and it's still open. You yourself might have a couple credit cards that you haven't used in a while and they're still open. However, when you get into dormant status, you put yourself at risk because at any month, any day, the bank could decide to just close down your account. The reason you need to be aware of this is because of the impact. So what is the impact? Well, a couple things are going to happen if your credit card shuts down. First off, you lose credit line. This means that, let's say you had a $50,000 card with Chase, and maybe you're just not using that card. Maybe you have a credit card with Amex, and that's your favorite card to use. Once the Chase credit card gets shut down, you just reduce your available credit lines by $50K because that one card that you thought was always going to stay open suddenly got closed because you're not using it. Now, this impacts a couple things. Losing access to that big of a credit line will impact your utilization because here's why. If you spent, let's say right now you have $100,000 in available credit. Okay, 100K available credit. Let's say 50K is from Amex. The other 50K is from Chase. Let's say you decide to max out your Amex card, right? So that means you are at 50K out of 100K. That is only 50% utilization. So now you're at 50% utilization of your overall credit utilization, which is still high, but not super high. If the Chase card were to get shut down because you're just not using it, that subtracts 50K and you immediately go to 100% because now your only card available is literally your Amex 50K card. So you just went from somebody that had 100K in available overall credit to then maxing out 50K on one card, but still being at 50% utilization because you have overall 100, but then your card got shut down because you weren't paying attention and never using it. Now that 50K is gone and now you're literally 100% maxed out because you don't have these other credit cards to give you that overall credit limit. And that is one negative way it impacts you. It makes utilization much, much serious because you lose the available credit lines. The second thing, or the third thing I should say, is you lose age. What if your first credit card was a Discover card because they're beginner friendly, right? Maybe that's the card you got at 18 years old. Maybe now you're like 40 or 50 years old. And obviously you've been studying me, watching my videos, so you got the best cards with the best bench, right? So you left that Discover card behind. Maybe now your main go-to card is your Amex card. Well, what if your Discover card has 30 years of age and maybe your second card after that, because you didn't know about credit before you started following me, you got it maybe 10 years after the Discover card, right? That means that Discover is your oldest card to date. That is the backbone of your foundation. Maybe you haven't been using your Discover card, and if it gets shut down, you just lost access to your biggest credit age account. This is how it negatively impacts you. And now what happens? Your score is going to drop because at the end of the day, your your average age of history is a sum of all your credit card accounts plus all the months they've been open. And since that was a big bulk of your foundation, you're immediately going to see a negative impact because you're going to lose credit age. So this is why not using your credit card and getting it shut down is going to negatively impact you as well. So the biggest ways you're going to be impacted is by losing access to the credit age and the credit line on that account. Another thing, let's say you have a credit card with a good bank. Maybe it's an Amex, maybe it's a Bank of America, maybe it's a Wells Fargo, maybe it's a Chase, tier 1 banks. And remember, tier 1 banks are the best banks to be with. If you had an account with them and they got shut down because of inactivity, well, now you just lost one of your best accounts on your credit report. And remember, in the credit and funding space, when you go to a bank and ask for money, they're going to compare what you have right now to what they're going to give you. So if you had really, really good credit cards with really, really good banks, but for some reason, maybe you're not using them and you're actually just using like a store card. Maybe you shop a lot at Costco, maybe you shop a lot at Macy's. Maybe those are your two main cards. Well, now what happens? You decided to not give attention to the other banks, and now they shut down the accounts. And what happens after this? You're left with two subprime credit cards, which are store cards. Again, I recommend you guys to never get store cards because they're just not good cards that you want to have on your credit profiles. So now you went from somebody that had really great credit because you had accounts with really good banks, but now they got shut down and the only open accounts remaining are literally store cards. So obviously it's going to vary for person to person. And most of you guys, if you have a card from a tier 1 bank, are probably using that, mixing it in with other credit cards. But the message I want to give you guys is that you have to pay attention to all of your credit cards and you don't want to get them shut down, because if you do, it's going to impact your credit age. It's going to impact the total number of accounts you have open. And it's also going to impact your utilization if you're holding balances. So what is the solution here? We talked about all the negatives and why you don't want to stop using your credit cards. How can you fix this problem? How can you avoid this problem? And if you are somebody that has multiple credit cards right now, you might be like, well, I have 10, 15, 20. I have 30 credit cards. So if you're somebody in that situation, how do you find the time to use every single card? Because it can turn into a headache. Well, I'm gonna give you some solutions. First off, if you have less than 5 credit cards, this should be very easy to do. Just carry all of them in your wallet. If not, put them on your Apple Wallet on your iPhone. If you have an Android, I don't use Androids, but I'm sure you guys have something where it's a wallet too, put them in there. And at that point, just remember to alternate between the cards. So carrying them on you is one way, right? Carry on you. Second solution, if you have excessive credit cards or you want to make it easy, you don't need to spend a bunch on each credit card. A simple transaction of $1 on each card is good enough. That's some activity. Activity is better than no activity. So what you can do is you can set yourself up on a reoccurring purchase for something that's literally $1. Now, how do you find this, or where do you go for this? Simple. You could literally go to Amazon, if you have an Amazon account, and do subscribe and save. You can literally search up a pencil. You can type in the search bar, $1 item. And now what happens is you can click the subscribe and save feature, and it allows you to link a credit card for that purchase, and then you can set up how you want it reoccurred. You can put one time a month, once every 2 months. Doesn't matter. Remember guys, after about 3 months of not using your credit card, it will go into dormant status. So if you want to do a purchase once every month or once every 2 months, that's totally safe. I wouldn't recommend doing it any longer than that, but just to be on the safe side, but it's up to you at the end of the day. And remember, you cannot use your credit card for 3 months and not even have it shut down, but it's just a risk that you take. And me personally, I don't want to take any risks that I could avoid by just spending $1. Like, come on. So, and I'm sure you don't want to do that too. So that's what I would say. If you have multiple credit cards and you do not want to risk them getting shut down, just go to Amazon or anywhere else that you know sells a product and literally just subscribe. I don't even know what I tried spelling there, but just subscribe to it and just spend $1 every month on the credit card. Simple. That way you keep it open. Trust me. I know some of you guys might not want to just spend unnecessary money, but at the end of the day, you lose more by getting the account shut down because you forgot to spend on it than spending an extra $1 or $2 every single month just to keep it active. Trust me, it's very, very worth it. And finally, the third thing, what you can do is give some credit cards to friends, but trusted ones. So if you have family that you trust or friends that you really trust, what you can do is if you have multiple credit cards, you can give them a card. Don't do authorized users. You can literally give them your own card, but this is where you have to trust them because again, you're responsible for purchases. And even if you did put them on an authorized user account, it doesn't matter, you're still responsible. So what I would say in this situation is if you have multiple cards, just give some to your friends and family that you absolutely trust to pay you back. Now they can go ahead and use those cards on a day-to-day basis, and now you're putting spend easily across all your cards. So those are 3 ways that you guys can solve this and make sure you avoid the dumbest way to harm your credit. Because again, you don't want to be in a position where you don't have any credit cards, you only use one of them, and then your other cards get shut down because of inactivity. I see this happen time and time again, and it takes somebody that if they would have had all their accounts open, easily being able to access 100 to 200K in funding, but since everything got shut down, now they're only eligible for 20 or 30K. So trust me guys, it's worth the investment to keep your accounts open. Don't be that person that gets their account shut down and the only way you realize is because you got an email or a letter in the mail saying it's been shut down due to inactivity. So guys, what you need to do after this video is, if you have multiple credit cards, and go use them if you haven't used them. If you're past the 3 marks, definitely use it now because you don't want to put yourself in a situation. And if you're not there yet, set yourself up on something like this. That way you can prevent that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This one was just a quick one. This is one of the dumbest ways to hurt your credit. So please make sure you guys aren't victim to this and you guys take care of that. And other than that, if you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and click the like button and leave a comment down below. If you're new to the channel, click the subscribe button. That way you guys can see anytime I post a brand new video about credit and funding. And if you're not following me on Instagram yet, go make sure to follow me. I post on a daily basis. It's at Alex Credit Expert. And other than that, hope you guys like this video and I'll see you for the next one.